From the earliest days of the Church, there have been men and women who follow Christ with greater freedom than most, imitating him as he lived in this world, through the practice of what are called the evangelical counsels: poverty, chastity, and obedience. They live lives dedicated to God. Some of them, under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, lived as hermits. Others founded religious orders that have served the Church for centuries. The ultimate norm for this consecrated life is the gospel. Christian monks and nuns do not pretend to go beyond following Jesus, who was not an ascetic, yet whose precepts are more demanding than most ascetic practices. The purpose of the monastic life is not to inflict penance for sins, so much as to help members follow Christ and be united to God through fidelity to the communal way of life, supporting each other along the way, young and old together as a family. Monks and nuns strive to foster an essentially hidden life with Christ and God. They are not out to conquer the world and become famous. Life in a monastery is a humble one, made up of mundane but very necessary tasks to serve the community, and several periods of prayer throughout the day. If one or the other becomes a famous scholar or writer, the life is still the same for all, a routine of prayer, work, and study inside the cloister and beyond the interest of the world and all its glamour. Monks and nuns lead a hidden life because they know from experience that close contact with God feeds the soul. It also energizes love of one's neighbor. Both of these contribute to the building up of the Church and the salvation of the world. And the love of God, in turn, quickens and directs the actual practice of the evangelical counsels. Monks and nuns who live in abbeys cultivate the spirit and practice of prayer. Each and every day they celebrate the sacred liturgy, especially the holy sacrifice of the Mass. They strive to do this with both lips and heart, as is necessary for the life of the Church, nourishing their spiritual lives from the richest of sources. The monastic life is a venerable institution. Over the course of a long history, it has earned distinction in the Church and in human society. And the current generation of monks and nuns seek to preserve it with care, living with authentic spirit. The principal duty of monks is to offer service to the Divine Majesty, at once humble and noble within the walls of the monastery, dedicated to divine worship in the contemplative life. Many abbeys and monasteries legitimately undertake some apostolic work. The discipline of monastic life cannot be undertaken without training. A life of stability, obedience, and perseverance in monastic life requires thorough training in matters both divine and human. Monastic communities offer a collective witness by supporting themselves and gladly using their own goods for other needs of the Church and the support of the poor, whom all should love after the example of Christ. Monastic communities have the right to possess whatever is required for their temporal life and work. Common life is fashioned on the model of the early Church, where the body of believers was united in heart and soul. This is given particular force by the teaching of the Gospel. The sacred liturgy, and especially the Eucharist, continues to be lived in prayer, in communion of this same apostolic spirit. As members of Christ living together, as brothers, monks give pride of place in esteem to each other and bear each other's burdens. The monastic community is a true family gathered together in the name of the Lord by God's love, which has flooded the hearts of its members through the Holy Spirit. Monks rejoice because God is present among them. Moreover, love sums up the whole law, binds all together in perfect unity, and by love a Christian knows that we have crossed over from death to life. The unity of the brethren is a visible pledge that Christ will return, and a source of great apostolic energy. These eyes of mine have seen the Savior, whom you have prepared for all the world to see. Monks remember that there is no better method than their own example to commend their way of life and gain candidates.